You can use that platform to leave a comment as well as WhatsApp 0809-444-0981.
I think it just came up just now, so you might want to repeat that. The notification for YouTube just came up.
So yes, so youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. So just type Smooth FM Lagos in the search box on YouTube. Subscribe. You can send a message through WhatsApp 0809-444-0981.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So look, EdTech. We're talking possible vaccine mandates from two big tech companies. And then the streaming wars, very interesting lawsuits in Hollywood with Scarlett Johansson suing Disney over the release of Black Widow on the Disney Plus platform. Well, starting with EdTech first, President Buhari just made an announcement, I think within the last 24 hours, that he's going to increase the education budget by 50% in 2022 and 2023. And then interestingly enough, he said it was going to increase by 100% to 2025, but he won't be in office at that time. So he just finished his education summit, which I understand could have been virtual, but was physically attended by him, the Malawian president, Akufo-Addo of Ghana, Togo's president, and Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya. So the thing is, when the government talks about improving education, they don't really talk about what technology can actually do and how technology can improve it. So when you think of EdTech, the EdTech space, I guess a lot of people don't really talk about it much because there's an infrastructure need around it, in that you need good internet quality. You need for the people who are going to be benefiting from EdTech to have the facilities to do it. So they have to have computers, they have to have phones, they have to have laptops and so on and so forth. So there's the cost factor in that respect. And then of course you need people who are actually web oriented to be able to pass on information over such a medium. So can your average university lecturer or lesson teacher, I don't know if we still do those. Of course we still do those. Can your average university lecturer or lesson teacher sit in front of a computer over the course of a half hour, 1 hour with students at different levels, maybe a kindergarten teacher, maybe a primary school teacher? Can they sit there and hold the attention of students for a X period of time and then transmit the necessary knowledge that needs to be passed on? So, I know that funding is the number one issue when it comes to education in Nigeria. I think the 2021 budget is 743 billion or so, but it's only 6% or 7% of the entire budget, and falls below the 15% threshold that United Nations has set as a bar countries around the world. So that's the conversation around EdTech. And it's a shame Fisaya isn't with us, because Fisaya is in that space, and he has and runs an EdTech facility where he does this, and I think it's a skills thing. So there's the infrastructure question around EdTech. There's the skills issue.
There's the capacity.
And then the practicality of them being able to pass on that knowledge. So that is when a Buhari or a minister of education minister or anyone else wants to talk about this conversation, the technology aspect has to be there, and we have to ask ourselves that, okay, it's only you're talking about tech in education. Can you actually flesh it out, and can you get over the hurdles that exist? Because it's there are quite a number of hurdles there.
You're right, Rotus, because if you check it, the attention span of an average child is 2 to 3 minutes per year or age of the child. And how many teachers out there? I know that most private school teachers are actually using it. They've been using it through the lockdown. And I've witnessed some of my nieces and nephews receiving these classes, and how they easily get distracted. But the teacher now employs extra skills to keep them, glued to the screen, to watch and get the classes. But I don't know about the public schools. We've had education deficiency in terms of capacity, in terms of know-how, in terms of even qualified teachers to stand in classrooms to teach. But now that the world is moving into towards a possibility of another lockdown, even if we wish with all the bone marrow to for it not to happen, it's a possibility, right? And we need to actually, be bracing up to these realities. To be honest,
it is. Well said. So on the matter of vaccine mandates, Google and Facebook are they've announced within the last 24 hours that they are United States staff. US staff for both Google and Facebook would actually have to be vaccinated in order to return to the office. Of course, I think both companies are still giving employees the option working at home. But if you're going to return to the office, it looks like you're going to have to get vaccinated. And I think I have to check. I understand that US President Joe Biden was supposed to make an announcement yesterday about government workers either submitting themselves for repeated testing or actually mandating that US public workers, government staff, actually get vaccinated. So that was the public side. We can understand him and his push for vaccines, but to see tech companies leading the way in this regard, it might, who knows, push other companies to do so. Not, there's context here in that the United States is moving rapidly through its vaccination scale. And the stats I'm seeing from the US and from the UK, and I think Brazil, I'm not sure, but the stats show that the majority of the new infections we're seeing is for the Delta variant is from people who have not been
vaccinated.
Right. Yes. And so, based on that, they're following the data. They're saying, look, if most of these infections are coming from people who have not been vaccinated, then we have to possibly mandate these vaccinations. But of course, you know how, America, their free rights and First Amendment rights.
Not just Americans. Not just Americans. You've seen the conversation on different platforms. Everybody around the world, most people are still expressing cynicism. Although you find that I actually like the fact that most people are making videos, apologizing for their cynical attitudes before, their pessimism towards the vaccine before, and owning to the fact that they made a mistake, right? You find most of these people actually saying that, we made a mistake before. We actually predicted wrong that these vaccines do not save lives and everything, but now we know we're wrong. We're going to do better. That's a message that should be resounded around the world because a lot of people actually pushed against it before.
Yeah, I think CNN had two ladies that were skeptics, and they changed their minds about the vaccine, and so they had, one of them was, I think one of them was crying, or I can't really remember, but yeah. So to illustrate your point, we've seen people have, look, you give children vaccines when they are born, so I mean,
So I don't know.
I don't want to get into the vaccine.
I don't know if the knowledge or the access to information these days is working against us. Because you find many skeptics in the face of information, it's free, it's available everywhere. You read about these things. All of a sudden, we've forgotten about the vaccines we took before we were even 5. Well, anyway.
Exactly. Of course, the argument is that, okay, well, those vaccines were established over time. It takes 5, 10, 15 years to get a vaccine to market. This one, they rushed it, so there's risk. But it took
a longer time to make cars before, Rotus. Exactly. It took a longer time to make phones. Before now, we couldn't use cell phones. We couldn't use iPads. But things are happening faster. Before now, it took days and weeks to get to space. Now we're getting to space in half an hour or an hour within an hour. So, I mean.
Exactly. So, there you have it. So, Google and Facebook, for their US staff, again, for the United States staff, Google and Facebook, it looks like they will be mandating vaccinations before staff can return to the office. And then, okay, finally, Scarlett Johansson, the actress that starred in the Avengers and the Marvel movies, her new film, Black Widow, she's apparently suing Disney, saying that they put it on their streaming online platform, Disney Plus, and that it is eating away from the revenues that the movie could make from the theater. The lawsuit, says that Bob Iger, who's the CEO of Disney,
retired.
His salary. Sorry, is it Bob Iger? There's two. Sorry, there's that.
Bob Iger just left.
Yeah, Iger just left. I'm sorry. So there's another Bob They are not Bob Chapek. I think his name is Bob Chapek, but they're both Bobs. But the new CEO, his salary is tied to the performance of Disney Plus. I love the performance enhancements, or the KPIs that CEOs have in the United States, where either if you get the stock to move up or you improve subscribers, then we'll give you, benefits for equity benefits or salary increase. So his salary is tied to Disney Plus subscribers increasing and revenue from Disney Plus increasing. So that's why the lawsuit was filed yesterday. Disney, they've responded and saying, look, it's harsh for her to do such a thing. The pandemic affected all movie theaters. People were staying home. Of course, naturally, they would want to do simultaneous theatrical releases on in the movie theaters physically and in streaming. So this is just
the whole is
around the new normal, and whether streaming, I think, is here to stay, is going to continue to impact physical theater revenues.
I don't know. A part of me feels like this is an issue of ambiguity in the contracts that she signed with Marvel, because according to her, right, the reason why she's suing is because her salary that she's meant to earn from Black Widow release is tied to cinemas, right? Cinema release strictly. And she feels like she's been, blindsided. I mean, it's a case of, you're saying you signed to this pact and then you're going ahead to do something else, because we know how much money streaming rakes, right? And raking in money from Disney Plus, which wasn't in a part of the contract, it's blatant breach of contracts, which is why she's suing. So I don't know if I take that Marvel's reply or response as valid. They're saying, no, it lacks merit, that she shouldn't be suing and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, you signed a deal with her that you're going to pay her salary based on how much they rake in from the cinemas. Why did you now go ahead to, sign off with Disney Plus without disclosing that to her? I feel like
And the thing is, this movie was supposed to come out last year, 2020. They did it by a year, meaning the contracts are probably signed 2019 or 2018 when they initially made plans to make this film. So at that time, they didn't see a pandemic coming. These kind of things, you have to have smart lawyers who can put in a clause to say that, I mean, they couldn't see it coming, but still, Disney Plus.
Exactly.
So you could have tweaked it to include that look will come, depending on what happens. We'll have a streaming service. We're going to probably put the movie on streaming. So we'll see whether the judge or the jury follow the letter of the law, follow what was signed, or they allow for the fact that it's not just Disney doing this. Warner Brothers, Universal, all these other companies that have streaming services are also doing the same thing with the simultaneous Kong versus Godzilla. I think that's Universal movie, or is that Warner Brothers? I think it's Warner Brothers.
That was Warner.
Max. So I think it came out in theaters and also on HBO Max as well. So, we'll see how it goes out, how it plays out.
There are messages here. Benga Komo says, Rotus, the lecturers can deliver lectures via tech, but the problem is access for students, especially at the polytechnic and university level. Some students won't even bother to log on to the platform, but that was an experience I had when we put lectures online. And he adds that performance enhancement, Rotus, put context to your words. Put context to your words. So if those at the Olympics hear you. Okay. Daniel says the contract is clear. They were supposed to go to cinemas first and then streaming. She's not going to make money from streaming because it's not in her contract, sad. Michael says, hi, Rotus. I would like to state that I know someone that was vaccinated yet died 3 weeks ago from the Delta variant COVID virus. It's not 100% proof. We didn't say it was 100% proof. We just says limits your chances or reduces your chances of catching it. Kewa says, good morning.
The study I saw also reduces the seriousness of your symptoms.
Yeah, the severity of it. Kewa says, please, how can I buy US stocks and which is the best app to use for investing? Rotus,
hit me up on Instagram or Twitter and I'll tell you.
All right. Emma from Akoka says, business models, contracts, and Benjamins, at least they should have renegotiated. Disney should give my Black Widow her coins. Yinka says, I beg, what's today? Where's Fisayo? You guys are confusing me. Okay, that's when we draw the curtains. Rosus, thank you, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the messages. Thanks, Val.